All right, how's it going? Welcome everybody to episode 20 of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. And in complete transparency and complete honesty, I'm re-recording episode 20. Not because I shared things that I am not going to share right now, but I really got into my own head as I was recording the last episode, or this episode, I should say. And upon listening back to it, I just felt that I was taking all day to get to the point and avoiding saying anything descriptive. So it came off like 30 minutes of chasing around a subject or chasing around what I was trying to say, which, I don't know, it rang false with me, and I didn't like the way that it felt. And you know, I knew it when I finished recording it last night. I was getting ready to do my normal thing. I named it. I edited it, as you know, so to speak. I put the little title and so on in the music, and then right at the last second, I said, you know what? I think tonight we're gonna sleep on it and just think about it in the morning. I went to church. I came back, had a few interesting things happen, and it was weird because I said to myself, you know, make note of these interesting things that are happening, you know, as if I knew somehow that I was going to re-record. But when I got back, I listened back to it, and you know, there's I just, you could tell I just wasn't feeling it. Perhaps I was a little scared of what the topics that I was talking about. You know, I'm trying to be as honest and forthcoming as I possibly can be, and it's difficult sometimes because I'm sharing things that I don't necessarily know 100% that I should be. You know, that kind of thing. And so I decided to re-record, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. This episode is our post-Thanksgiving episode. So a lot went on for Thanksgiving. Something is worth talking about. I, like many of you, did festivities on Thursday and on Friday. You know, the in-laws kind of thing, splitting it up, celebrating with those that can get together on one day. That, you know, it used to be when I was growing up, everybody would congregate in one spot, you know, on Thanksgiving. You would eat throughout the day, but you just knew that was where you went, and everybody would show up periodically throughout the day, you know, when you had a central, in our case, matriarch, because our grandmother and then our aunt, they had a central location that they would, you know, after my grandfather passed, it was just the house you went to. And right now, it's always the pursuit of trying to rebuild that. But until that is the way, I do celebrations on Thursday, and then also on Friday. And I went with my mom and my brother, my sister and her husband. They had he got COVID, so that's, you know, obviously going around with everybody, so they weren't able to make it. But I was able to see my brother, and I talked about that on previous episodes. I was really excited about doing that. Happy to see him. We'll get a little bit more into it. I saw my mom. You know, I have to reapproach that. She was very in that true holiday spirit of kind of like, you know, picking on certain things, and you know. I picked her up, so it was my driving that was bad, and it was like, you know, don't take that phone call, or don't answer that person who's talking to you. My daughter was in the back seat. You know, you're not paying attention, you're driving, kind of, you know, that kind of stuff. And my mom, you know, God bless, I love my mom. She just that's her character. That's her style. She's very vocal about her opinions of things. And no problem with letting you know if she feels that something's not going correctly. And a lot of times you can be very patient. I can be very patient, and my sister calls me the mom whisperer, because I can read what's going on in between the lines, and sometimes I can de-escalate a situation. But it's different. I've always been this way about parenting. You might call it insecurity, having to do with parenting, but I just don't want to hear her criticism on my parenting. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, well, maybe there's some deeper issues going on there, but I feel that it's something that I work very hard to do well, and I make a lot of sacrifices, and sorry. So anyway, and that's a natural response. I just think that people don't, they don't want to admit whatever, but who wants to hear criticism of their parenting skills in front of their kid? You know what I mean? Even though it's just my interpretation of it, and she meant no harm by it, and it was just really something as innocent as don't take phone calls while you're driving, which is an innocuous kind of thing to say. But, there was other little things that went that way, but it wouldn't be a holiday if you didn't have some family member pushing buttons or riling you up, or, it's something that I missed from everyday life. So I took it with a grain of salt. It's just that for some reason it had me. So, okay, I'm re-recording this episode. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this, so I'm having to respond so that people aren't bothering me. So this is just some behind the scenes. Hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, but I saw my brother, and my brother, we call him Red, my brother Manuel. He has red hair. But he lives in the house where my folks used to live. And at a time, my brother who passed away, Chuck, lived. And that's important to the story because my brother said that there was some boxes, some collectibles, and then some memorabilia that he had up in the attic that he wanted me to take a look at. The items from the attic were, the memorabilia, I should say, was from a band and from general just life, but from a band that I played with my brother. And there's these big bins full of photographs and articles, magazine articles and newspaper periodicals, different things, just clippings and awards or just random stuff. Okay, just over a duration of being in a band together. He left the band, and we continued to play on for a duration after that. But the point being, my brother says, "Hey, I got these boxes. I want you to take them with you." And to be honest with you, it's part of the reason that the episode really didn't work out on the first recording is I was hard to explain. It's a lot to take in. I mean, I have found myself to be at a time or two nostalgic. I reminisce briefly, I literally have one trunk. I have one physical trunk, a standard size trunk, that has my entire life in it. And I mean, concert tickets, stubs that my sister gave me, or that I accumulated, movie tickets back when they used to print them on that thick stock paper. you know, just everything that I have accumulated and found important. And even then, I haven't looked in that trunk in over 5 years. So, and my brother was a very meticulous collector. I mean, he had a lot of different things. But to give you an example, he had a small notebook where he archived every show that we did for years. And I didn't know that he did this, but wherever we were playing every weekend, and a tally of how many shows we did every year. Just, but I when I tell you that I couldn't handle, or I mean, obviously you can handle it, but I just didn't know what to do with that information. It's, you're looking at these photographs, and it's somebody that I do not know. I recognize that it is me in the way that you recognize your features, in a younger self. But I can't tell you the context behind many of the photographs. I can't tell you who that person was, how they thought, what motivated them. And it's very challenging to me to be overwhelmed. It's overwhelming to have that many. I mean, just these big bins full of photographs. And okay, I'll tell you, for example, right now they're all sitting in my car. I couldn't even bring them into the house. I still can't. I mean, I mentioned that on the first recording, but I still today now, for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sure like my, a therapist would have a field day with that idea alone. Just the symbolism of having all of these memories and not allowing them into the house. And maybe there's something to that. Maybe I don't want to look back. Maybe this house represents moving forward, and I don't want to, to do it. But there's also, I didn't know my brother as well as I would like to admit. Like, and of course, next week we're supposed to be doing a show, because if you've just starting listening to this podcast, I was supposed to start this podcast was supposed to be with my brother and I, and we had plans. He was the technically savvy part of the team, and so he's kind of like a big part. He died at the beginning of COVID, so my mom couldn't leave her senior home, so we didn't have a formal funeral. So in a way of sort of celebrating, eulogizing, and giving him a little bit of focus, the intention was to do on his birthday a show, which I think I'm going to record it on the Friday before his birthday, the day before. His birthday is December 3rd. But anyway, I just wanted to tell stories about him and things. He brought out the funny in me, and I brought out the funny in him, I would like to think. But, seeing these photographs, but not only that, seeing these, he has a lot of items in there that just give me pause and make me think, like, how well did I really know him? And I would like answers to certain things that I find that I don't understand, kind of thing. It's just a lot to absorb, and it's so. That being said, I think I'm gonna wait for I think my the guitar player that is also in the pictures is not in town and won't be until January. So I'm gonna probably, have a little get together where we just drink a little bit and and give, because I realize that I do like watching other people in their moment of nostalgia. So I took a few photographs to my cousin Vince, and he was obviously felt this, similar to what I felt, but he remembers a lot of it, which I think is cool. But and maybe I would lean on them a little bit for the memory portion of it, like, to find out. But I enjoy watching him receive it, if that makes any sense. So I think I might have a little get together. There's some friends and family that are in the photographs. Maybe I'll invite them over and we can just, have a drink about it, and reminisce about it and look at these photographs, and then I'll be done with it. I don't know if I'll keep them. Maybe I'll just give them out to all of them. But anyway, so that was that. There's a lot to unpack there. Because he's been on my mind recently, and then that was sort of like really bringing him to the forefront, because yeah, I just wasn't expecting it. Okay, but it was a nice Thanksgiving. I got to meet my brother's new wife, and she's very nice. Made the house very homey, and no complaints. I had a great time. We talked about doing barbecues and meals in the future, so this is probably the start of a really good thing. So I know I mentioned on the previous episodes that I did the Christmas tree, a little early Christmas tree. I did the Christmas lights over this Thanksgiving break. It's been really wet and gross and cold and windy, and so I didn't get to do the full thing that I wanted to do. But it looks really nice. I always kind of keep it one Christmas light string, kind of thing. Wrap lights around the one tree in the yard, and put up some blow up, like I think I have a hippo, and a dog, and a penguin. Very random, but my wife really loves it. My daughter obviously loves it, but the cynic in me is like, what do we want to advertise to the hooligans of the neighborhood, that are kind of casing houses and thinking which one they should rob, and well, maybe we should rob the house with the blow up hippo. They've got money for dumb blow ups or whatever. I know that's silly, but it's an occasional thought that pops in my head. But at the same time, it really lights up our front yard. So maybe if they're up to shenanigans, they wouldn't, want to mess with the house that's all Griswold out, But Normally, I would just use a chair, and this sounds kind of silly, but normally, I mean, I don't have a super high roof, right? So normally I would just put a chair, start stringing it up, but like I said, it was really wet, and so my wife was really concerned about the chair getting it all full of mud and kind of thing. And I have a ladder. It's not like I'm lazy. It's just, look, I have rose bushes. I have different kind of shrubbery and whatnot. The chair just kind of worked its way around these things and I could stand on it, okay? I'm not lazy. I can set up a damn ladder, in which inevitably this year I did. Okay. But what normally would take me an hour to set up all these lights and things, it took me all day. I had to go get more of those doohickeys to hang the lights on. I guess like there's a shelf life on these hooks, these plastic hooks, because just I broke half of them easily. Just like I just Hercules them out. I'm trying to normally put them, and then the old ones, the reused ones, and so halfway through I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Lowe's, buy me some. Which I'm not sponsored by Lowe's. I just as soon go to Home Depot, whatever. I think I've told the story about Lowe's anyway. When I was in line at Lowe's, I probably did tell this story. If I did, whatever. But one time they're like, I'll help you over here. They had opened up a new register. So I left my place in line. Oh, okay, cool. I'm carrying my items. And then as I'm walking, somebody else was walking by, and the cashier says, "Hey, are you a veteran?" And the guy says, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, come on over. We'll take you." And so next thing you know, I'm back in line again. I hear my dog barking. I'm gonna pause this and we'll jump right back in. What up? Sorry. Yeah, my dog was barking because I left her out in the backyard. Sounds so bad. I let her go out to the backyard, do business, hang out, have a good time, and she was letting me know that she was ready to come back in. Oh, she's mad because she can't get to me. Find your way. Oh, that's one way to find it. Just run over everything. There you are. It's her 4th birthday yesterday. She's a 4-year-old. I mean, she's a golden retriever, and yes, we bought her in a situation. I would love to get a rescue dog, and I'm gonna probably do that in the next. But in a way, she's a rescue dog because she has hip dysplasia and she needs a little bit of extra love, and so we made sure she had a home with us. And she gets on my nerves a lot of times, but I love her. She's cool. I think she's trying to get in trouble right now, but anyway, that's for those people that are. For the people that are just listening, I'm messing with my dog right now, so just getting her situated. But you can't see her because of how the camera's set up, so. But you can maybe hear her panting, and that's probably not the most attractive sound to have on a podcast. And she sneezed. Bless you, dummy. Okay. All right. Anyway, so where were we? I think we're talking about Christmas lights and ladders. Okay, so anyway, it took me a long time to set up the ladder, move it, around the house. And okay, here's the thing. Here's one thing that happened. I have this go, get up. Good dog. I'm gonna stand up for those that watch. probably edit that out, but she wanted out. You know those trust exercises when you just let yourself fall back and somebody catches you, right? Because that's what they're supposed to do in that moment. Yeah, my wife did one of those, but not really. What she did, I was having to string the lights up the side of the house all the way pretty high, right? I didn't have the highest of ladders, so I went inside and said, hey, look, if you want me to string them all the way up to the side of this thing, and I don't have a brand new ladder. It's kind of like a garage sale ladder that I bought for like $10, but it's pretty tall, but it's kind of rickety. I said, the least you could do is hold it for me. Come outside, hold the ladder. For God's sakes, I'm going to be challenging my fear of heights and of rickety ladders, and the least you could do is hold the side of it. And to her credit, she came out, and we put the ladder as secure as possible, and then there I go up, and she's like, just go up one more rung, and then you'll reach the tippy top, right? And then so I'm focused on where I'm at. I move my hands to do the, and then she starts talking about the flower beds. And I said, well, and she said, yeah, see, like, these are weeds. And I said, wait, these are what? And I looked down. She left the ladder. She went to the flower beds to go mess with weeds. And, so I'm just floating in the breeze, Okay, so some people can be afraid of ladders and heights for no reason. They're called irrational fears for a reason, right? They're unfounded. They're just whatever. Not mine, okay? I have what I would say is it qualifies as a relatively good reason. Now, look, maybe a couple years ago, it was just as tall of a ladder, but it was a borrowed ladder. It was very secured, whatever. And my memory serves as the only memory, the way that I see it, is that it was in the middle of the yard. So I was probably cutting branches. And I remember I had like a thick coat on, like a burly coat, you know what I mean? So it was cold and it was windy. But I remember being pretty high on the ladder, but then I had gone down as if I was going to go down steps. So I thought I had gotten to the bottom, but I didn't realize how high I was. So I took a far step back so that I could step on the ground. But very quickly I felt there was no ground under me. And it was a very weird moment. It felt like the way it must feel like in a dream, when you're falling, like, because in dreams you often step off a ledge or some high place. Whoop, I'm falling. This is weird, right? Because you don't just knowingly step off of into the midair. You turn into a lollipop or a donkey like the cartoons. But I stepped off, and then there I was, I'm falling. And poof, next thing you know, I'm laying in the grass. You have that moment where the air gets knocked out of you and you're sort of looking around. And my first thought was, I have a lot of like chatty Cathy neighbors, like that live across the street or like next door to me. At that time, my other neighbor was alive across the street too. And I'm telling you that, she would come over and be like, Yeah, I was gonna tell you to trim the trees. They were looking like they needed some trimming, kind of thing, you know. I mean, they can come over 100 different things that they would want to tell me, you know, to talk to me about. But nobody. I mean, and they see everything. Like, I'm telling you, sometimes we'll be on, you know, we'll come back and they'll say, oh, you know, somebody left, you know, try to leave a package at your front door, random time. You know what I mean? But none of them even said, hey, you okay, dummy? You okay down there? You know, something. I mean, I'm just laying in this, you know, in the leaves and dirt and grass. So point being, I have fallen off ladders before, so I'm not the biggest fan of being on ladders. I mean, I remember, and I do things to challenge my fears. You know, like I've climbed really tall ladders at the places that I've worked in the past. Went up on those big cranes that are used to change light bulbs, you know, in really high places. I've tried to conquer fears time and again, to just know that I'm still in control of that those things don't limit the things that I could do. But you know, I would hate to, like, oh, that's a cool cast on your leg. What happened? You know, and it'd be some lame story about putting up Christmas lights and, you know, oh yeah, I was putting up Christmas lights when my wife left the ladder and I just, you know, I bit it off of a 10-footer, you know. No big deal. Yeah. It's a really crappy way to go out. But so you ever get the opportunity to think through a situation that transpires, and either you're embarrassed about it, you're angry about it, but you're given enough time to think it through, and you uncover that that there was deeper things going on and that it wasn't your fault. Well, that happened today. And I'd love to hear people's opinions on it, what have you. So feel free to comment about it, and, you know, or email me if that works out better for you. lostlikemike@gmail.com. Or if you're on YouTube, you know, youtube.com / at lostlikemike. But so we go to this church, right? It's a big church. There's a lot of folks there. And they have like a Sunday school to where my daughter goes while we go to the actual service, what have you. She likes that they color pictures and have a little lesson, you know, for the week. Well, you know how like Chuck E. Cheese has, you know, a glow-in-the-dark stamp, and you have a matching stamp, and they know which parent goes to which kid, kind of thing. That's fine. Well, the way that they run things there is that they print out these tickets, and the tickets have a sticker. You know, they peel off sticker, and it has the date, the number, and a number of the classroom, all this information on it. And one sticker obviously goes on my little girl, and then we keep ours on us. Well, at the end of service, my wife needed to go try on this sweater she bought, and so I said, well, I'm gonna go get my little girl, and so that we could, you know, leave in a timely manner. And so she gave me the ticket, and I head up to go get my little girl. I get to the classroom, and there's just one guy with a big beard and this lady. And and my daughter's coloring at a desk. So I hand the guy the paper, the sticker. He leans down to check her sticker on her, where we put the sticker on her back. And he goes, nope, this isn't the number. And I said, what's going on? He's poking at this the paper that I gave him, and he's like, nope, this ain't the number. And the lady's standing next to me going, you got to go back to the front and get the right number. You're going to have to go with it. I said, what's going on here? I don't understand. And my daughter's oblivious. She's just sitting there drawing pictures, coloring her picture. And so I said, what, you're saying that my ticket doesn't match my daughter's ticket? Nope, doesn't match. And that's all that the guy's saying. He's just driving that 1 point home. Nope. And the lady just keeps saying, you got to go back up to the front. You got to go back up to the front. And so I said, I'll be right back, baby. And I turned around and I walked away. Now, I was good and full of Jesus Christ today, because I'm telling you, nobody stands between me and my baby, and nobody should stand between you and yours. I understand safety protocols, no problem, but what's every parent's worst nightmare is to be standing 2 feet from your own child and be told, nope, not giving her to you. Okay? Right? Okay. Just so we're on the same page, y'all, because I'm not assuming that that's the way that everybody would be, but that's how this guy was. But I was cool. I said, all right, I understand safety protocols. So I go back up to the front. Meanwhile, I'm calling. And I'm so, just because, okay, we'll get to that. I went up to down the hall, this long hall around the corner, down the ways, whatever, go to this big front desk. And I said, and it took 2 seconds when the guy gave me the paper back. I noticed that it was not this week's date. My wife had inadvertently given me a previous ticket. And the numbers change from week to week. So, our bad, we got the wrong ticket given to me. So I get to the front desk and I say, listen, here's my ticket. They won't give me my kid. I have the previous week's ticket. And she's saying something like, well, let me get so-and-so. Okay. So I'm already on the phone. And I'm talking to my wife. I said, honey, you need to get here. They're getting somebody to help me right now. But you gave me the wrong ticket. And you need to give me the ticket in the time that it takes me to get back to that classroom, or we're going to be dealing with a much different situation. And okay, so here's a part of it. I did not know, but the man that they had sent to go get was standing right next to me when I was saying that. So as I finished saying that, and my wife's laughing because she doesn't think, she's not seeing things the way that I was seeing it. In her mind, she's got the right ticket. Oopsie daisy. Let's just go get our kid right. In my mind, was a different thing happening altogether. So we walk back, and the man goes, let's go get your child. Let's go back to the room. I said, all right. And as we're walking, he's like, hey man, this happens all the time. We just got to be safe, whatever. And I'm like, well, cool. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm on a mission. I'm going back to get my kid, right? So we get back to the classroom, and he says, you already tried once to come get your child. And that man with the beard, he goes, that's right. And we said, no, no, no. And he puts his hands up like a cross, like he was defending me off like I was the devil. And I was like, okay, this dude. And the lady was like, yeah, we're just following the safety first, y'all. And I'm like, all right. So we leave. I get my daughter. We're walking away. And mind you, we didn't have the correct ticket by this point. The guy just saw me on the phone saying, I'm getting my kid right now, or we're going to have a problem. So it's not like they needed that ticket, and I could be some bad dude and they would have let my kid go with some bad dude. Who knows? So to hell with that. I don't think that that was the case, although I do. But here's the thing. So I apologize to my wife because I couldn't figure it out, right? We went to go have a post church meal, like a little lunch, as a family. And they have to go do different things, so we do that before they have to go run their errands and see the grandparents and whatnot. And I have to come hang out with y'all. I get to come hang out with y'all, I should say, before I have other things to take care of, on my day. All right. So we're sitting there and we're having a very adult moment where she's letting me know that, she's standing in some restroom and I'm coming at her sort of, like, aggressively talking about the things I'm about to do in this church, you know what I mean? Which is not a good look in the first place. But who cares? Like I said, anyway, and I, as I'm apologizing to her, I realized, I said, listen, look, I mean, because I tried to flip it and I tried to say, if this was you and you were trying to pick up our daughter from a room and you see her right there and they're saying, no, go get another piece of paper because she's not leaving with you, right? I said, I guarantee you would not be. And she said, no, I wouldn't. I would have just gone and got another paper. I said, I've seen you react to them not putting extra ranch in our takeout meal. Don't tell me that you would not have had, at least a half of a Karen reaction. I mean, whatever. That's not necessary. I didn't mean to say that. That's just being silly. But, but what I realized was and here's the second part to it that I did not mention. As we're walking away, my daughter says to me, Daddy, why wouldn't they let me go with you? Right? Which tells me that in all of that mess, they didn't talk to her, right? She sees her father come to the door. She sees me attempt to come in to get her, and then she sees them tell me no and send me away, right? And they never offered her an explanation. But it further brought to light and put focus on the fact that here's the thing. Here's the rub. They were operating, and this is what I ended up telling my wife. There's two different types of the way people handle operating from being in the right, okay? You have people that know the rules, right? They know the rules, and they know that they are operating within the parameters of the rules, okay? And that gives you power. It's like a sentiment that's often exemplified by people of authority like police officers or things. They know that they're operating in line with the law. And there's two different ways that you can handle that. You can be gracious and you can be patient and you can explain yourself, knowing that you're operating within the law and you are operating with the rules backing you up. Or you can have what they did, which was have a bit of arrogance to you, an air of like, well, we're right. So I said, no, put the sign of the cross up, like, you're not coming, you're not gonna take her. Hey man, you're obviously operating within the right. You're obviously protecting my child from leaving with somebody that they're not supposed to. I get all that. But how about taking a step back and saying, oh, it took me 2 seconds to see that the date was wrong and that information. I'm not some rando, right? If the little girl's all hi daddy and whatever and missed you, whatever, all that it takes is 2 seconds to say, oh, this is from previous weeks. Why might you have this as instead of the right ticket? Furthermore, could you do me a favor and go get that correct ticket, because we have to follow safety protocols. Before I can let you take your daughter, I'm going to need you to get that correct ticket. I'm really sorry. I mean, doesn't that sound better? And then leaning down, maybe crouching down on your knees and saying, hey, sweetheart, your daddy's got to go get a different piece of paper, but he'll be right back. To something to that effect. But that wasn't the way that they handled it. And so I didn't realize that at that moment when I called my wife and I'm being like, rah, because all in my mind, I'm trying to process, why am I reacting so poorly over the phone? Because I had not processed the injustice or the agitating factors that were at play. So thank you for letting me vent about that and get it off my chest. I appreciate that. Because it was I had to think it through, but really, and even it was annoying me because we're sitting there at this restaurant, we're getting ready to eat. And I said, listen, I'm not trying to beat the subject to the ground, but I'm just trying to wrap my mind around what upset me so badly about it. I couldn't figure it out. But we're all good now. We're all good. Yeah, and it's no big deal. I mean, it was just the circumstances made it, and I'll probably look at it and be even more comical next week, but it just happened today. So I figured I'd mention it. I went to get my oil change. And the same day I got this haircut that I didn't talk about. And I'm always talking to you about my hairdressers or the experiences with. But, I mean, we'll tell the little story about that anyway. I did talk a lot on that first recording about the New Orleans trip, because I left a lot of unanswered questions, and there was a lot of sub stories that went in with the New Orleans part of last week. But we'll see where we're at after we talk about this. So, okay. I realized, and this was right before Thanksgiving, I said, the light came on in my car, said, your oil life is donezo. You need an oil change today. You have to get one. And I looked especially shabby. So I'm thinking, damn, I need to get an oil change, and I got to do something with my hair, do something. So I'm at work, and I'm trying to see what time things close, and I said, well, prioritize. I got to get an oil change. If I got time, I'll try to squeeze in a haircut. All right. So I haul it, and we go to this, and look, I'm not talking about a company in a negative way. That's not true. So let's just call it by who it was. So past my house, there are all these small towns, and so past my house, we wanted to go to this particular Walmart. It's a Um, several reasons, but one being that it's usually slower because it's further out, right? So I haul it from my job and I get off and they close at 7, putting this all in perspective. So I shoot across town, get there by 5:40. There's one car in the dock. Is that what you call it? A dock? In the service station, the inline. We'll find it. Here we go. And I said, okay, so yes, park my car, jump off. And as I'm walking, I'm assessing the situation. I see 3 technicians to 4 people standing around. 2 of them are leaning on their arms and they're just talking to each other. So I go into the door and a guy who is in between the oil and tire section, he comes over to where you pay and where you sign up. Hi, can I help you? I said, yes. In fact, you can. I would like an oil change, same as I got previously. He says, ooh, and he says, I don't think we have time for you today. I don't think we're going to be able to see you. He said, let me go check. And I said, wait a minute, but you don't close till 7, right? And he says, yes. He says, but I'm going to go ask these guys, these workers that are out there. He goes and real quick, he comes back. Yeah, I'm sorry. But one of my technicians is leaving for the day. And the other ones that are still going to be here have 4 tires to change. And it's going to take them an hour and a half. And I started laughing. I said, you're serious? It's going to take 4 of your employees to change 4 tires in an hour and a half. He says, I'm really sorry. I just started laughing again. I said, you know what? It's cool, Ben. I'm out. I said, I believe you. And I went and got in my car. And I went to this other place that I normally go to close to my house, a Take 5, one of those. Very nice kids. They're always very fast and they knock it out. No sponsorship, I'm just saying. And as I'm driving, I talked to my wife. I told her the story and I said, can you believe that? And she's like, you want me to call somebody about it? And I'm like, no, dude. Like, it's the holidays. I'm sure they're just tripping because they want to go home and get ready for Thanksgiving or whatever. So I go and I'm in the time that it took me to get over there to the Take 5, she calls me back and she's like, I lit him up. So it turned out she called the Walmart and said she wanted to speak to a manager. She gets on the phone with the manager and she describes the situation as I told her. Guy gets off, comes back on and says, yeah, they said that they did not have the proper oil filter for that type of car. And my wife's like, what type of car? They didn't even take the car back there or even ask him what type of car he had. They just, they told him that, and they said, you got some employees that are liars. Because they said that it was because they were changing 4 tires and it was going to take over an hour. And she said she lit them up. Well, don't get nobody fired for Thanksgiving. Thankful I still have a job. But anyway, I was able to get a quick oil change, and then I head over to. I had signed up, that one with the same hair place that I normally go to, right? Well, since I was over here, I decided to look for that. All right. at one point, I had gone to this location to get my hair cut. And for whatever reason, there was bad blood. And I stopped going there. I said, I'm going to start driving farther away to get, to go do get my hair cut. I'll go to this other location. And early on, I had good experiences over there. So whatever. So I ended up, hear my dog barking. Worst guard dog ever. One time she barked at me. I'm like, dude, I live here. But she don't bark at like, hooligans and people, She barks at like chihuahuas that are going by, and it's just, she's got problems, man. Anyway, so I have this app where I look on there, and it's like where I was going to go was going to be like a 30 to 40 minute wait. And then I see the place right next door to where I'm at. It says 6-minute wait. So I go, boom. And very nice people there. I was very impressed. They sat me in a chair right away, almost. And I used the same language that I told the other lady of what I wanted with my hair. And they said, oh, well, on your notes it says something totally different. And I said, well, of course it does. Because, that lady don't like me because I like coupons. It's just never mind. It's a callback joke. But I sat in this chair, and this lady starts going at my hair, whatever. And, it's kind of short, which is what I wanted, something different. But we got to talking, and we started talking about the beginning of the conversation was about the oil, right? And then we got talking about my wife being like, where I was like, it's cool. And she was like, I want to make him pay or whatever. I want to, And then she's like, oh, well, I'm like that. Every peaceful man needs a firecracker for a woman that will go off and, raise some, make some people pay for doing things poorly or whatever. And so it began with that. And next thing you know, I'm telling her about my family, about my, part of why I think my hair is so short is because I think that she just kept talking and cutting and just kept, blending and trimming and blending. And next thing you know, I'm bald because she was just talking. But, we talked about my brother passing away, and we talked about, all these different things, about valuing life over the holidays, and these different reasons why, these sad stories that are in the news and things that we're just, so we're walking up to the front, and I'm getting ready to pay. And I don't notice that there's these kids sitting on the waiting chairs, waiting to go up and get their done. And while we're talking and while we're hanging out and doing our bit, I notice in the mirror, and as I'm being spun around, that the other hairdressers and the people that they're cutting their hairs are all listening to me and this lady. Like, we're the only talkative ones in the whole building. I mean, imagine that, me being talkative in that situation. But they were laughing at jokes or, the tags that she would say or the things that I would say. It was very much, so we're up here at the front, and I'm paying. And then this other hairdresser comes up behind her and goes, oh, sweetheart, can I offer you a lollipop? And in the second that she says it, there's kids behind me. But I told my hairdresser, I said, I sincerely thought you were talking to me, like, offering me a lollipop. And she goes, oh, yeah, well, here, you want a lollipop? And I was like, no, I'm good. It's just, I figured you were listening. It seemed like you were listening to what we were talking about. And she's like, oh, yeah. And so they made me take a lollipop, but it was funny. I thought she felt bad for my, sad life, or maybe, it's just being silly. But I took that damn lollipop. It was good. But anyway. Yeah, I apologize for having to re-record this and this coming out. This is going to come out late. And there's probably some things that I did not get into. We'll do the one another day. But thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for telling a friend. Be sure to message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. And I'm thinking of rebranding the show title as separate words, Lost Like Mike, with spaces between. Chat amongst yourselves. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. I'd have to go back and retitle the different videos, or just move from now moving forward. But it's just a passing thought. So think about that. And I'm trying to inadvertently I'm trying to do the math right now of where we're at, because I had to stop the episode because I had to go take care of my dog. But I think we covered everything, or a lot of information for today. So take care of yourselves. And I will see you next week. If this ends up being a short episode, I'll do a long one next week. Okay. Take care.